Hey there, beetle bugs. It's Butterfly. How are you? What are you doing to keep busy these days? That's my question to you. I'm going to share what I'm doing, and what inspired me was I was looking through, I like to look on Amazon for oracle cards and tarot cards and healing cards and inspiration. I like cards. I do. So, but in these times of this pandemic, buying and selling things is taking a whole new turn, which I think is a good thing in some ways. So knowing that we're basically a people with a whole lot of consumerism, materialism really kind of takes a toll on us. Anyways, I'm one of those consumers, and one of the things that I tend to do is shop. Quite often on Amazon, what I'll do is I'll save it for later, and I just really end up doing a lot of shopping. And these days I'm doing a lot more save it for later and not actually buying, because there's no money coming in. No money should be going out. You really kind of select the things that you buy. Also, we need to have things to keep us busy during the day, because we have a whole new 8 hours a day that is not being spent either going to work or doing the other things that we normally do. So that to stay mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, spiritually healthy, we need to really make sure that we're not just staring at the news and absorbing a lot of negative information and catastrophizing and looking at critical numbers and really increasing our feeling of anxiety over things that we have little control over. What you can control is keeping yourself busy on a daily. So I'm sharing these ideas that I put together for myself, and I'll challenge you to perhaps do something similar and maybe even make a video response. So one of the things that I was looking at are these really gorgeous cards I wanted to shop on for Amazon, and it was "She believed she could, and so she did." If you look that up, there are some seriously gorgeous cards in this deck. I think it's 50 cards with words of inspiration, like inspirational quotes, and it's embellished with florals and this sort of thing. And so you pull one per day and you read it, and you're inspired for the day. Now that's the kind of thing that's really lovely. I would normally be attracted to buying that sort of thing, but because of our socio-political climate, I'm tempted to not buy it, but I still want it, and I wanted to keep busy. So I ended up making some cards of my own. They're not complete, but I wanted to share this with you, and I'll do a follow-up video when I complete the project. But because I'm normally a crafter and I have things around the house, I've decided to put my own deck together, and I'm going to put my own inspirational quotes on these. And I'm going to make my own "She believed she could, and so she did," which is kind of prophetic, because I believe I can do this, and so I'm doing it. So I'm challenging you to do the same if you can. I'm probably going to choose some of the quotes from that deck, but not all of them, because I'm going to hunt on the net and see what inspires me. This is going to be a totally customized, personalized deck for me. So the first thing that I did is, quite often when I look at decks, I don't even know why they have backings, because cards have two sides, 1, 2, and so why not have information on both sides? But I know there's a technique of turning over. But these cards, I think these cards may end up being double-sided. They're going to be reversible in a whole nother way. I'll put probably a quote on one side and then a quote on the other side. At least that's the way I'm planning it right now. Who knows? These things take a life of their own. So what I did is I used the things that I had around the house. The first thing I had around the house, I have plenty of them, are recipe cards. Just plain old regular dollar store recipe cards, and I have some in white and I have some in all kinds of colors. So that's what I have around. That's what I'm using. The other thing I have around is, and I've shown it on my channel before, because I'm not like really skilled at like art per se, like drawing stuff the way that I'm not satisfied with my drawings. I end up cheating, if cheating is a thing in art, and I end up buying a lot of napkins. So yeah, I have like a basket full of napkins, and I keep on reusing them because different, this one's one of my favorites actually. This one right here. Oopsie. Isn't that gorgeous? And so what I do is I separate, they're usually 3-ply, and I separate the top sheet from the rest of the napkin, and then it makes just the pretty side of, the colored sort of print of the napkin. And then I take white glue because, having been working in daycare for a long time, I end up supplying a lot of products like that. So here's my mason jar with my paintbrushes and water. And I've just been keeping busy, which is really excellent for mental health. Like you need to sort of be creative and have a feeling of accomplishment. And it doesn't really mean that you have to exclude watching, your favorite movies or your favorite YouTube channels, but, have them going on in the background while you're keeping busy and doing crafting. That's a way to kind of stay mentally healthy so that your brain is actually producing work and getting something done rather than just being a zombie in front of the screen and watching what other people are doing to keep busy. Okay, so that's, yeah. So here's some of the cards. Because they're double-sided, I believe I'll have 40 sides because I have 20 cards made so far. Now what I did, see here how you have a double line? This ended up happening because the sheet of napkin is just so thin that the print did not cover the double line that's shown here on that side of the recipe card. So after I made all of my cards, I noticed that there was those lines that were interrupting the actual print that I wanted. So the great thing about recipe cards, or the great thing about doing art with napkins, is that it's reproducible, right? Because I have other napkins that look exactly the same. So I actually redid them. I took the existing recipe card that had the print, I doubled it up, putting line side to line side, and then I redid the other white side. So each one of these things is quite sturdy because it has 2 recipe cards glued together, and then it's surrounded with the napkin, print on the other side. And there we go with that one. So, but this one I like it because it looks like a recipe card right through, and the images themselves are, restaurant kind of utensils and stuff. So that kind of match, that fit for me. So I kept those on. There's another one. I mean, napkins really have lovely prints, and I cannot do art that well, and I can't do this much art as quickly as I want to produce them. This one, hello, good morning, chocolate. Chocolate. I wonder if you're getting a good image of that. And so on these things, this one's similar to the other one. On these things, I'm going to end up putting some inspirational quotes. Now, if you can share some of your most inspirational quotes with the person who said them, with your source, please put them in the comments below, because anybody who's looking here would be able to find those quotes and perhaps make, make cards of their own. So the way that I'm planning on writing see this one here, I had to do some little mending on the top, so I'm going to fix that so it's not so icky afterwards. I might even put some, I have a lot of washi tape, so I might do the edges with washi tape. I don't know. I haven't really finish designing them. They don't have to shuffle like regular cards because they're just basically cards that I'm making for myself. I can definitely read with them if I want to and use them just as any other inspirational card. But I'm thinking, you know, this is an age where we have to go beyond the consumerism. We've taught each other, we've learned as a society how to depend on if you want it, you have to buy it. But I've been privileged enough to kind of lived with very limited means through most of my adult life. You know, basically oops, that one's upside down, demi-tasse, ceremony. See, I put ceremony right in the middle there because I like that, ceremonies. And I say privileged to be limited in my income because it really means that I have had to be innovative and resourceful and look outside the box to survive and to get the things that I want and to get the things that I need. And I've always done it without kind of subsisting on like subsidies or that kind of thing, right? So I'm proud of that. I live within my means. And so in times like this, when we're living with limited shopping ability, I'm doing quite well. I am not without resources. And, you know, creative projects like this is basically, see how the edges are a little bit wonky? I'm going to have to fix that up later. I have plenty of, you know, paint and that kind of stuff. But there's no reason why we have to go and buy somebody else's selection of quotes and somebody else's selection of florals and whatever. I mean, we can definitely do this for ourselves and share our creations. So if you have, you know, remember when I, last year when I was inspiring or trying to inspire people to make their own deck, their own tarot deck. This is basically you making your own oracle deck or reading deck, a deck of inspiration cards. I'm not exactly sure how you want to show. And then I'll have to press them. When they're a little bit more dry and crispy, I will press them and make them more of a, you know, a deck so they're not so wonky. But one of the ways that I want to embellish, a lot of this stuff is actually in the other room. But, you know, I have so many stickers that I've collected. Well, you know what? It's time to use them. So these are the sort of things that I use to embellish my my journals and that kind of stuff. I have plenty of lace, and you may want to decorate your cards with newspaper, your local newspaper, because that might be what you have. And if you have some of the dates on them, it'll be very reminiscent when you look at these cards in the future and you actually you can remember, oh yeah, that was the news story at that time. And then just put your inspirational quotes across the other way. I mean, use what you have. This is what I have, napkins. Maybe you want to dress up your decks all with the same napkin if you have an abundance of that. Or you can use paint or food coloring or some kind of a dye that you have. If you have crepe paper, that's also a good way to cover up some recipe cards. Or if you have paper that you can just kind of glue together and cut to size. Yeah, so I'm challenging you. You know, make a deck. I'm going to have a follow-up video to sort of show my completed deck. I don't know exactly how many that will be. As I'm leaning over to show, see, recipe cards. I have plenty of these recipe cards around the house. Maybe you have some as well that you have lying around of different colors. This is when I was doing the make my own deck cards. Didn't get a huge response. So, but yeah, these were some of the cups that I had made. I think I had made the number 1 to 10. So those, and then on the back, I had written down what each of the cards was about, right? So this is kind of like part of a tarot deck that I was building at the time. Never did finish it. Maybe it's time to finish it now. Anywho, I think making your own deck is a dash good thing to do. Yeah, I have some more ideas as well, but for now, I guess the challenge goes out to you. Maybe you'll want to do a video response to this. I don't know if I'm going to bother making a hashtag because I don't know. I'm not that hip, and I don't know if my channel is really that, reaches that many people. But anyway, I will challenge you to make a deck. Make a deck of some kind of inspirational quotes, so to speak. Mine was inspired by she thought she could, so she did. Perhaps you'll do the same. Maybe you'll be inspired by a different deck, but I'd love to see what you do to, keep yourself busy and stay healthy. Take care.